Hey guys, it's Rita here. I wanted to give you a little quick background on why I started podcasting and continue doing it to this day. So I am actually using Anchor.fm to record this podcast because it's free. One of the best parts about it is that they give you the creation tools that allow you to record and edit the podcast right from my phone or the computer. Anchor also distributes it for me, which is really cool because it makes it so much easier for me, and I can be heard anywhere from Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so many more. You can also make money from the podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So what are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app now. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Empowerment and All That, your favorite podcast for female empowerment. I'm your host, Rita Bautista, and I'm super excited today because I'll be talking with one of my good friends, Dr. Charles Sumner Corprew III. Yes,
Wow.
y'all, that's his name.
Wow, put it all out there.
And one of the good things about this episode, you guys, is we're going to be talking about the topic, is love enough? Now, this, for those out there who are like, oh my God, here we go, relationships again. But truthfully, love in general as a whole can be applied to relationships, your interrelationships with work, your friends, your children, and obviously, most importantly, with this topic, in partnership. So one of the cool things about Dr. Charles Corprew is that he actually is a PhD in
Psychological science.
Thank you very much for that, because I knew I was going to get it wrong. But he's got some amazing insight. And one of the greatest things about having one of your good friends on the show is that you'll always get some pretty good banter, but you get some really great content because you're just being your most honest. And if it's one thing that Dr. Charles Corprew and I do well is banter and are very honest with our in-depth conversations that we tend to have.
Yes, we are. And you can go ahead and put it out to the world what you actually call me, Rita.
Charlie.
Yeah, there we go. You're the only person in the world that I allow to call me Charlie. So don't
I am
get it
honored.
twisted. You're welcome, Rita. And I am grateful to actually be on the other side now, to be a guest on your show, because you have been like my most favorite guest on the What's Your Revolution podcast. So I am honored to be on the other side of the mic and to hopefully give your listeners everything that they want to hear about. Is love enough?
Funny fact, I keep calling you Charles Corprew, Charlie's show. The first show I was actually ever on when it came down to radio / podcast, which his show, What's Your Revolution, is now on iTunes, right?
On iTunes, it's on SoundCloud, it's on Player FM, it's on wherever you want to find it. It's on iHeartRadio. Wherever you need to find What's Your Revolution is right there for you.
Yeah, one of the things I love about the topics of Charles's show is that he goes into male masculinity and talks about every single thing possible. And what better show for him to come on than, empowerment and all that, the female's perspective on all things empowerment. So thanks again for being on. I'm really excited to dive into this episode today. Obviously, the meat and potatoes of this topic is, do we think love is enough? Is love enough to create the foundation of a relationship and keep it going?
So that's two questions, Rita. Is love enough, to be the foundation and then to keep it going? So I think my answer to the first question is that love has to be the foundation. As I sit here in my house, I can look to the right and see a picture of my mother and father. I've had this picture in my house for the last 15 years, and I had that picture in my house, my first house in Virginia. So this picture's got to be at least 25 years old. They have been married for 54 years, Rita. And, that says something. And so the foundation of what they have is love. My father is 90 now. My mother is 78. She'll be 79 in 12 days. My father has Alzheimer's. She's his caregiver. Love is the foundation of their relationship. But to answer your second question, love just is not going to make you through 54 years. It's friendship, it's trust, it's honesty, it is working through the hard times, it is not going to bed mad, it is being vulnerable, it is being open, it is growing, It is, making sure that you are your champion for your partner. It is, to me, all of those things. And my mother, beautiful, one of the most beautiful people that I've ever met inside and out, is my father's champion, even now. And he will tell you every day that life has not been the same since he met her 54 years ago. But here's the thing, Rita. It wasn't always peaches and cream, right?
Right.
Oh, they had, when I was a child, they had rocky road, right? It wasn't, but it takes growth. It takes that opportunity to see, who am I going to be? How am I going to show up? How am I going to grow? We talk about this on the show. How are you going to grow up and be a man in your relationship? To say, you know what, baby, that hurt, right? I didn't expect that from you, but that hurt. And this is how I'm feeling. Can you honor the things that go on in your relationship? And I learned that tonight. How can you, even in the demise of a relationship, can you honor the time that you've had together? I think that is something that we don't honor that time together. People, we just break up and be like, you know what, peace out. I ain't got nothing to do with you. Can you honor that time?
I think that's a very beautiful thing that you just said. Is like, can you be that person's champion? And even at the point where, if it does end, are you still going to champion the time that we spent with each other, right? Like, that's a pretty big thing to think about. Because most of the time, when you break up with somebody, you're just like, F you, I don't want to see you again, don't talk to me, blah, 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 blah. Or, which I think is such a more modern approach that I've been noticing a lot more. If you have children, like the whole co-parenting thing, I think is so beautiful, right? Because just because your relationship broke up doesn't mean that love wasn't there and that love can't be translated to your children, right?
Right, exactly.
So I love that you said that, because I am a professional single person right now.
You really? You getting paid for this?
Right. Becoming professional at being
exactly. What does that pay? Like $25-$30 an hour?
I don't know. I mean, we talk about my dog on this show occasionally, but he's definitely expensive. So I gotta get another job to help him.
A professional single person. You and I have talked what it feels like, and in those periods of time when it gets lonely, right? Like, I don't want to feel like that, right? We tell ourselves like, this sucks, but what's the alternative sometimes, right? I don't want to feel like I'm in this toxic relationship with this toxic person and I'm not happy and all I'm trying to do is get out. So I think all we're trying to do is find the sweet spot, right?
That's very true. Now, it's interesting that you bring up toxic relationships, because the episode that I had recently, the one prior to this one, was actually on toxic relationships. And one of the questions that I had asked her was, can you get out of a toxic relationship, and not necessarily like exit to the left out, but like, can you actually find yourself out of the toxicity? And so many people, instead of working on the relationship, which is harder, choose to exit left. And to me, as funny as this is going to sound, and really hard for me to admit, it's always easier for me to exit to the left, because I feel like this person doesn't understand me. This person doesn't blah, blah, blah. We're never going to get there. We're never going to understand each other. But then I'm like, I see relationships that have been together for like 20, 30 years and they never get each other. And at the basis of that is because for some reason or another, at the beginning, they fell in love with each other so profoundly that they were like, you know what? Every single day, I'm going to choose you. I'm not going to put this pillow over your face today. I'm actually going to let you live another day, because hopefully today you're going to get it right.
Yeah. No, I have a good friend. Her name is Christy Lyons, and her husband have been married, probably close to 30 years. And I'm probably putting her business out in the streets, but
yeah, you didn't have to say her whole name.
I know, right?
I'll tag her.
At Christy Lyons. But that was one thing that she says. She's like, I choose my husband every day. And she's like, I'm not going to put her business out of the streets, but she's like, I know how to make my marriage work every day. And she says, we do that every day, right? She was like, I understand that I have a man and I have a man's man, right? And to honor our marriage, I'm going to make sure that he knows that I love him every day, and he chooses me every day. And so we have that ability to love each other. She's like, it's not easy every day. It's not easy every day, but we choose to love each other and we choose to honor our relationship and what we know, some of the things that we're good at. So I appreciated that. But it also brought me back to this conversation that, we've had over a number of times. Is how do you work through the toxicity? It goes back to our theme, because it's like you said, it's easy to exit stage left. This is a toxic relationship. We didn't say abusive relationship.
Right.
We said toxic. And there's a difference between. And I think about my past relationship that you and I have talked at length about. We'll call her Miss San Diego, right?
Carmen.
Carmen San Diego. We had a toxic relationship, and it didn't start out like that. Well, maybe it did, because there were forces that were outside of our ability to control that created the toxicity anyway. But we never ever really addressed how to get out of the toxicity. It was just easier to, all right, peace, exit stage left. All right, I love you. I'm gonna get back in this. I'm gonna jump back in. But we didn't do the healthy work around, what does it mean that we're in, to acknowledge that we're in a toxic relationship? And then what does it mean? What does it mean and what does it look like for us to be healthy? Because it's easy for you to say, I'm gonna go find somebody else, and it's not that I don't have to deal with the toxicity. But you gonna carry that toxicity with you, because it doesn't change until you address it.
So I think that's a really good point, right? But I'm not a professional at this. Again, I'm a professional being single. But I would say that in order to do that, someone has to bend.
Someone has to bend. You're right.
Someone has to bend and say, and not be afraid of being vulnerable. Instead of being those two kids that are like fighting each other. Have you ever seen that? There was like Burning Man had an amazing sculpture where it's like two adult people that have their backs to each other, and the children are on the inside, like trying to break through and touch each other's hands. And it's like, I think it's like the most amazing sculpture ever, because I'm like, that's essentially what love is like people who,
I get
unfortunately, as adults, you have to create these like ideas of what a relationship is. But the two kids on the inside, those were the ones that fell in love, right? Because you feel all giddy and like, everything's amazing. You feel very free and liberated when you're first starting to fall in love. And then all of a sudden the adult things start falling in. Like,
yeah.
My job. Oh, this. Oh, that. It's the perfect example is like the chase mode, right? When the man, like, oh my God, he could literally bring the moon down from the sky when he's chasing you. But when he knows he got you, then he's like, all right, I'm done. Like, I'm good. Back to being an adult. About to go again. Like, what just happened?
Let me bring you this Kit Kat. And you'd be good with that.
You're like, oh my God, he brought me a Kit Kat. There's no expectation.
Right.
But anyway, but yeah, so looking at that sculpture, I always think about that. I'm like, when two adults are fighting each other, they really are like, what they say is like each mind a different world, and so like you don't understand the other person. Now, if one person were to break and say, "Listen, I'm going to be the vulnerable one," and unfortunately, for a lot of relationships, women tend to be the ones to break and be vulnerable, and I think we're in a place now where women are getting tired of the over masculinity and having to be the one to always break and always be like, oh, okay, like, you've been getting on my nerves. And you play this like adult role, but the kids on the inside are like, I just want to get back to that happy place again.
Yo, there are a lot of things that come up right now that bubble up. The first thing, right? So the first thing was like, you don't know men like that, Rita. You know what I'm saying? You don't know us like that. And then I'm like, but that's why you do the show, Charles. So you need to acknowledge that. And so you're right. You are right. And
say that one more time so the listeners can hear that. I'm what? No, I'm just kidding.
You are right, Rita. And thinking about the situation that we talked about earlier, the events of this evening, and I'll even talk about it. I'll even talk about the events of this evening. I've been seeing a woman for a little while, and we just kind of clicked. It was good. It was working. It felt good. It felt right, and kind of cut out all the other noise that was going on. And but we hadn't had those, we hadn't had one of the foundational conversations that needed to have. And then once we had it, it was like we're are we're on two different islands, two really, really different islands. And so because of that, we've got to we basically have to say, you know what, hey, we gotta let this go. So I felt myself like being like that little boy, like I ain't got time for this. Like I'm gonna just buck up, like whatever, peace. I'll let your boy later, whenever you realize like you're losing something good, right?
Is that ego?
Let me finish the story. Yeah, right. But it isn't. But it is ego, and the beautiful woman that she is, and our time together is just beautiful, magical. I mean, I could use all of these various adjectives that go along with the time. But she said, I hear some things in you, and I want to make sure that we honor this time together, however long or however short it has been. And it was like almost like, oh, I'm going to keep punching you in the gut. But it was a punch in the gut like, yes, honor this time. Be vulnerable to say how you feel about this space that we've been in. And the reality is that because we have a difference in our core values, we're going to walk away from this. But allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to honor the time that we've had together. And like you said, we don't do that. We don't honor that time. People come into your space and they're there, and to be amicable and to just say, you know what, I'm grateful for this time with you, which is hard because men are like, you know what, I allowed myself to be vulnerable with you. I have feelings for you. Like, you're not gonna work this shit out. You know what I'm saying? And then you're like, all right, but I think we have to get to that space, Rita, is what I'm saying, and that's what I'm trying to push with our brothers on the show. Like, figure it out. Figure out, how to be vulnerable enough to be in space with the people who you love.
I think that's such an amazing perspective. I mean, I'm like, I love that. But again, the honor thing, it doesn't matter if it was a lifetime or 2 months, like being respectful enough. And I love her perspective because that's going to haunt you forever.
Why does it have to haunt me? What, see,
how many
is that Rita? That's a no. That sounds like some protection from Rita. It's gonna haunt you, Charles.
I'm just kidding.
You should want to get married. That's what it is. I don't want to get married. I want to be in a long-term, loving, monogamous relationship, but I don't want to be married. And so if that's a part of our conversation tonight, like, is love enough? No, love is not enough. Simply, it's not enough. It is so many things that have to happen for a relationship to be right. I could love you. I love you, Rita.
Thanks, Charlie. I love you too. But I think that that's a good point, right? Like, relationships do need so much more than just that initial feeling, right? Because as much as love is beautiful and the movies make us all feel as though, love's just going to carry us through, love's going to get us out of hunger and poverty and all of this stuff. It's like, no, love is not. You still have to work and you still have to create and you have to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, that's not enough for one single person. Then what is enough to carry a relationship through, right? Because you can have love as the foundation that actually helped create it, but then you need the rest of the building blocks, right? That's just
yeah, and those building blocks have to be, the word I want to say is correlative, but I think, those building blocks.
Dr. Summer.
I know, exactly.
Sorry, good.
But they have to match. You have to find, some foundational pieces that actually match as you're building this. My therapist says all the time, when you overlay the two of you, right, you don't have to be like a perfect match for each other, but you should at least be a Venn diagram where there's a lot of matching that's going along between the two things. And your question is what do you need? Is you need to have similar, I'm not saying that all of your core values need to be the same, but you need to have similar core values. And Like, if you don't eat well or think about your health, like taking care of your body and thinking about what you're putting in your body to take care of that, that's a core value for me. And if we don't match on that, then we're gonna have problems, right? Because we're gonna be fighting over what you're putting in your body. And
can I say something really quick before you
yeah,
keep going?
here we go. No, go ahead. It's banter. It's
As
banter.
much as I love what you're saying right now, I think one part that you're forgetting is that we cannot control anybody else.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Interject? I'm like,
yeah, no,
I'm
not
controlling the
right.
conversation. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, Charles.
Wait.
Charlie. Before no, I'm not saying that. But the building blocks have to be there. So if those core values are there, you can continue to build.
Mm-hmm.
But without those core values, what I'm saying is that you may try to control that situation. Why are you eating that cheeseburger and fried, right? Why aren't you eating this impossible burger? You know what I'm saying? Yo, you haven't had an impossible burger?
I'm good, bro. I do turkey burgers. I do bean burgers. I gave up red meat, but yeah.
Man, get you an impossible burger? Yes, you're missing out on life.
I'm good. I'm already missing out on beef burgers, so we're good.
Right. So I think that's the piece. What do you think? Has to be if we're building this perfect relationship, or we're building the relationship that we want, because nothing's perfect. What else has to be there?
I think honestly, a common ground of being able to work through issues, not leaving the issue on the table, but actually working through them together. Apologies and forgiveness are huge, because, what if I want to eat what if I want to eat a burger today? What if I'm tired? What if you don't know all the stress I've been under and I just want to eat this burger and I don't want to talk to you right now? And I know you're going to complain about it in like 5 minutes, but it's like, I need to, one, forgive you for trying to control me for eating this bean burger or this regular burger. But honestly, it really, I think truthfully, because we are all our own independent people, we're going to make mistakes, and some of us make them every single day. And it's all about not being afraid to apologize and not being afraid to forgive somebody and move past that. It's I was reading the other day, this is Psychology Today.
You read?
You know me. I love reading like all of these like personal development, self-help, like it's all this stuff. And it was talking about not about how it's bad to argue. I feel that personally. I'm just like, I'm so over arguing. Like, as soon as I feel like something's gonna blow up, I'm like, you know what? I'm done. Hands up. I'm over. I quit. I'm not doing this anymore. Exit left. Right. But it was talking about like the couples that actually argue more. Now, not abusive arguing, right? But like people who actually argue more and are able to work through that, like the next day, or, continue working through their relationships, they get stronger because of their arguing. And I'm like, who wants to live in that? Jesus.
And who wants to argue with you, Rita? Lord.
Because I'm right. No.
But no, I've read that research as well, Rita. And so that's interesting that you say that, because I don't like conflict. And with Miss San Diego, we would have conflict and we would have argument. But we also had great makeup argument as well.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Did you say brown chicken, brown cow?
Yeah.
You're corny. Like, you are the queen of corn.
Cool, man.
Yeah, but and I think that was one of the big parts about that we could make up. And if we're thinking about the foundations of relationships, physical capacity with each other, or physical attraction, and the ability, and chemistry, chemistry. When you kiss that person the first time, do you know, like, wow, that feeling, like going to a wedding and like,
okay, enough. Moving on. Moving on.
You know what I'm saying? And you just walk in this person to the car, and they kiss you, and you're like, oh shit, like, damn. Yeah.
That is. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying though. Like the moment of like, that opportunity to actually feel them. Like, you know, I think that's a great part, right? That's the spark. That's the initial. I am attracted to the person. I want to find out more. But communication.
Yeah, tell the story. Yes, exactly.
Relationships don't go anywhere without proper
Mm, mm.
I think and I think that is probably become one of my hard stops.
Yeah,
I got my moments. I'm not perfect. I'm
really?
crazy.
Tell us your story.
I got my anxiety. Well, I have many stories, but we'll just say long distance has been something that I was frequently used to over
Yeah.
the last couple of years, on and
Speaking
off
of,
or whatever. And long story short, one of the biggest problems for me is if I'm not getting adequate communication, it doesn't matter how busy I am. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the things that is very interesting when they're like, "Oh, the chase, you got to look like you're busy. You got to do this, you got to do that." It's like, yeah, that's absolutely true. If anybody's busy, I am like the busiest of busy right now. I'm working on the podcast. I just started Latina Podcasters, which is a group to bring Latina podcasters together. I am, working my full-time job, which is in the medical sales industry, and I'm also helping out with a political campaign. So I'm busy.
you're busy.
But the thing is that
Go Beto.
I'm not even going to talk to you right now. No, I actually would have voted for Beto. I wasn't a resident yet of the state of Texas, the great state of Texas. Everything.
Right. Julian Castro needs to stay in the race too.
He is. Hopefully, I'm hoping he go. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's not the front runner. Won't be the front runner, but I think this guy. I've been following his career for so many years. I really do. Gonna grow to be some really amazing politician for the rest of his life. So I really. Anyway, back to
communication.
Is love enough in politics? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's enough. In politics, your girl from California, it's enough.
Oh boy, it's a lot.
Right? It's a lot.
Yeah.
But you're talking about communication and
yeah,
your long distance relationship.
Yeah, and it was always a big deal. It's like if you're not communicating, I mean, and everybody has a different communication style, right? Some people like to text message all day long. Some people just need a 5-minute check-in. It's not even a full dive into a phone call or, give me your life story. I just want to fall in love on the phone. Sometimes it's like, I don't want to talk to you, but I'm calling you because you matter.
You matter.
And the thing is, the other thing is compromising, right? Like that is a very, very important part of a relationship. Is we do have our core values. We do have our fundamentals, but are you willing to compromise with the person that you're in union with? If this person wants you to get married and you don't want to get married because that's a core value of yours, you're sticking to that, right?
Yeah.
And she does. It's like, was this the time to have the conversation yet? And that's also something that I'm learning too, is like, when do you have the complicated conversations and when do you hold back from the complicated conversations? Continue to flow with it and see what happens, because maybe if time would have naturally just allowed itself to show you guys you weren't compatible, you would have continued to have a great time with each other.
So you lost me there. Because one, I'll go back to answer this question. One, I think you have the foundational questions early when you're my age, right? Maybe not, at your youthful age.
27.
Yeah, my age of whatever it is. I'm gonna stop telling people my age. I realize that.
You don't have to. You look youthful.
Thank you. Way to pull that back. I like. But I think you have those foundational conversations if you're looking to settle down and be, in whatever you define as a relationship. You have those foundations. Do you want to have children? Do you want to get married? Where do you want to live? How, those types of things. But the other thing that I say, and I love that you talk about communication, Rita, is that I read this book maybe 15 years ago. But one of the things it talks about is that you vomit in moderation. Mm-hmm. And so it's an interesting concept because sometimes we'll get into relationships and it's new, and then we're like, bleh, let me tell you everything about my life, all my perils, all the good times, everything, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, where did he or she go? Because you have vomited everything about your life. Think about that. Think about that worst first date, and the guy is just like, or the woman is just like, everything, and you're like, I can't get out of this date fast enough. You know, and
I can. Told you, exit left strategy.
Yes. But that was one of the things that she and I worked through, is that we're going to vomit in moderation. And so we'd established this level of conversation, like, okay, are we ready to have this level of conversation? So you broach it in that manner, like, are we ready? Because I'm about to drop some things about me that I may or may not know if you're ready to handle. And so communication is huge, but I push it to people as you're getting to know someone and you're building a relationship. Vomit in moderation. See where your relationship is before you talk about past histories of trauma or different things. That person may not be ready or equipped for something like that. And allow them, see where they are. Because if they're not ready to handle your trauma or handle your life story, then maybe that's not your person. Well, if people understand we're also videoing this, so I can see Rita's facial expressions. You have that loving look in your face right now, Rita.
Yeah, no, I don't.
If anybody knows Rita and Charlie, when they get on a podcast or a radio show, it is mad jokes with each other.
Yeah, the whole time. I always get that. I think your producer told me one time, text or message me. She was like, I was just listening to the show and I was cracking out the entire time. I was like, yeah, I keep telling Charlie that we need a podcast together.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you what she said the first time you were on the show.
It's fine. We don't have to vomit moderation.
I just want to tell that story. Let me tell it.
But yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, being a person who's becoming so much more self-aware, I know that is something that I do naturally. I talk about everything to everyone because in some sense of myself, I truly believe that people have everyone's best interests in mind. Like, we all have each other's best interests at heart. And so I'm like, well, if I'm the one who puts myself out there first, then other people will feel more comfortable talking about their insecurities and their vulnerabilities because I'm not afraid to do that. And believe it or not, about 75% of the time that actually works. Because once they see that I'm not afraid of my vulnerabilities, then they're open to speak about theirs. It's weird. But in turn, right? Like, I do agree with what you're saying. I mean, it's better to just like let it out slowly than to just vomit all over them.
Yeah. Let it out slowly, Rita.
Yeah.
Let it out slowly. You are the most amazing Latina podcaster that I have ever met.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one he's ever met.
Yeah, probably so. But
yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. What else? What else? I mean, as we think about this, what would you want? Right? It's funny when you get two hosts on one show. What's that other?
Thanks, Charles.
No,
yeah.
What's that?
I think I've interviewed you on your show too sometimes.
I know that's how we do. We're good like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is love enough? And we said no, and we talk about communication. Honesty. Talking about those foundational blocks. Not vomiting in moderation. What else? What's gonna make this work?
Well, we said compromise as well, right?
Oh, that's right. I forgot compromise.
And I think it's also the ability to stay. Are you going to stay when that person is having a week to themselves and being pissed off? Are you going to stay when that person is, having a hard week? Are you going to stay when they hit a nerve? Or are you going to stay when they said something that is your soft spot and you don't like people to say or talk about? Are you going to stay when things are great? Are you going to stay when you're scared that they're getting too close?
Yeah. Tell your story, Rita. I
No.
mean, tell the story. I'm sorry. Tell the story.
No, I'm good. No, I think the thing is so in general, I've been the kind of person that I'm open to giving people second chances if they actually seem as though they it looks like it's progressing into a second chance, right?
You are the queen of second chance.
Okay, I believe in people. I don't know why, and I know it's terrible, and I'm probably learning through this. My therapist is probably listening to me right now, being like, "Stop it, no more." But here's the thing, right? There are chances when people make mistakes and they learn, they grow, and things change with time. They're not going to change 100% fundamentally, right? But people do learn through their mistakes, and I know I've made a lot of mistakes. So giving somebody a second opportunity is not beyond me if I know that our core values actually are the same.
Right. I mean, I
Now,
agree. Forgiveness is a part of life. And can you bring yourself?
I forgive everybody, man. I don't, and that's truly one of my fundamentals too. Like I do forgive people because we are human, because we do make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. I cut the cord too soon sometimes. I mean, like this is something that I've noticed, and truthfully, in this last um talking ship, I don't even know what the hell to call it.
Situationship. That's what we call them.
I hate that thing.
Situationship.
Yeah, I hate that.
Somebody asked me like, "What is a situationship?" It's not a relationship.
It's not. You're not. He's not your boyfriend.
Yeah, not your boyfriend.
That's what it is. He's not your boyfriend.
Not your boyfriend.
He won't even call you his girlfriend. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But
what's that dude's name? Not my boyfriend.
Not my boyfriend. Try harder is what his name is. No, and I think that it lies in expectation, right? And I think expectation is the martyr of letting people down, right?
Say that again. Expectation is the martyr.
It's the martyr of letting people down.
Wow, because when you
go ahead, I'm sorry. I gotta let the dog out. Go, Louis.
No, I can't hear him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So expectation, I feel like, is when you have expectations of somebody, and we're not supposed to, right? But naturally, when you start to feel emotions for somebody, or you start to see them in a different light than you were seeing them before, because you're letting them in, you start to grow these random expectations for people. And when they don't meet them, because nobody ever will, you get mad, and you just get mad. And it's
like, I mean, you're right. Expectations. I love that. I got to use that. Expectations are the martyr of.
I can't remember what I just said.
Oh man, we have to rewind that back. I can't wait to hear that. Oh, the martyr. I mean, it's amazing. Like,
it's also the martyr of happiness too. But
and so you're right, because once you begin to, there's a lot of research on like couples' rhythms, like how they sync up, and you could manipulate this, right? But you get into a rhythm together, and the calls, the visits, how you gonna maneuver together. And what happens is that when those change, you because you've created expectations. It's 5 p.m., right? Charlie's gonna call me at 5 p.m. every day, right? And so 6 o'clock comes on a Thursday, you're like, "Yo, where you been for the last hour?" Because you've set that sync, you've set that expectation. Mm-hmm. And expectations can be really good. So I'm setting the expectation of this is what I expect, but we also have to allow for some fluidity in those expectations as well, because stuff does happen, right? My phone died.
Yeah, men accidentally forget their phones for a week. Yeah, I get that.
In
a world where everyone is connected to their cell phone like it's their hand.
Right. My phone died.
Anymore, yeah.
Right. But no, what I'm saying, like something came up. It doesn't mean when you get a text later on, or hey love, I'm sorry. So the expectation should also be, hey love, I'm sorry. I know it's supposed to, we've been talking every day at 5. Something came up. I just want to let you know everything is good. I'll call you soon. So there's also that level of expectation. Can you communicate?
Can you communicate? Yes. Yeah. And I think it's also wrapped up in some parts of respect as well. No, start building that, did you say it was sinking? You start
Sinking.
sinking it
Yeah.
on. It's a level of how are you going to continue the level of respect for that person to let them know, hey, look, you know what? I'm kind of busy, or I'm a little tired of a headache. I don't really want to talk today. Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah. And just communicating that. And we get, we get caught up sometimes. Or sometimes you got to just pick up the phone and call, right? Even if it's 2 minutes, like you said, because I have lost relationships because we can't infer tone, right? Hey Rita, Hey Rita, how are you? Question mark. Peace. Rita's like, what's up with Charlie? You feeling bad? You can't, because that's not how we usually talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But you have inferred my tone. I can be like, hey Rita. we never can infer tone. Do you know there's an app coming out now that tries to infer tone based on text and allows you to decipher your tone before you send the text?
That is awful. Can we just say, why have we gotten so far away from hearing each other's voices? Like, it's unacceptable. I don't get it. Like, there's some things about being old fashioned. Like, I love a good old fashioned phone call. Like, ask, right? I call you, right? Like, I'm not saying right, whatever, but like, I like to listen to the person I'm talking to. And that's just, that goes with everybody. Like, my friends, one of my good friends, Hector, I'll call him. I've been calling him since I was 19 at his job at work when he's working. And he's like, hey, I'm working. I was like, no, you're not. Hey, look, so I have to talk to you about something. He's like, fine, let me go close my door. And so
I met this guy named Charlie.
And Charlie always answers the phone. Like, but it's true though. Like with my friends, I've gotten to this point where I'm like, I hate text messages. Like I do it because that's what we have to communicate these days with everybody, because everyone's on that instant gratification, right?
But yeah, I don't want to see. I want to see ... right, quickly.
Well, we use ... on men because we like to play with y'all's minds. So I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Love is enough.
You heard. Clearly, it's not enough when you're in an Apple world.
I'm kidding.
Look, just typing, still typing.
Yeah, right. And you're like, dang, what book is she about?
Exactly. And then all of a sudden you get, hey.
They're like, really? All that?
Yeah,
okay.
all that. These dots been rolling for 30 minutes. Hey, trashy.
But that's after y'all have disappeared or something happened. They want to tell you off, and then they're like, you know what? Let me not write a book. Let me just explain. Hey, period.
Hey, period. Hey, look, you want to talk about is love enough? What you need to do in communication? Don't have conversations about your relationship over text. Like,
that's true.
Yeah, people will write a book about how their feelings and not pick up the phone. Like, are you kidding me? Now I gotta infer all of this, like where you were like, I love you, or I hate you, or all of these things about the relationship. I gotta infer that you're saying this in a loving tone, or no, because most of the times we go to the negative, right? We're like, oh, you crazy, bleep bleep. You know what I'm saying? And no, pick up the phone, have a have a conversation about the relationship.
Bye. You're saying that my text breakups are not good enough. No, I know. I think
depending on the breakup.
If they're respectful.
If they're respectful. So that's a good question I want to ask. Can you break up with someone over text? Man, I love being on the show with you. God, we could make millions of dollars together.
We could. Jeez, let's start now. If you want to sponsor us, just drop a line.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I think looking back at recent situations, it could be disrespectful to do that.
Right. Oh, period. Period. It could be disrespectful to do that. Period.
It could be disrespectful, period.
Period. Yeah.
Well, I think you have a point, and for me, and this is growth as a person, right? I know one of my biggest problems because of anxiety is patience. Is having the patience to wait until the person's available to talk about what I'm feeling.
Right.
And
You want to talk about right now, huh?
yeah,
I
but
want I
I've
want to talk
gotten
about this right
better.
now.
Right. I've definitely gotten a lot better at the approach of the text messages, but I definitely have some growth to do. And yeah, I can admit when I've made mistakes. And yeah, I have in the past made mistakes where I've ended relationships or dating people over text messages, which I think is the biggest, looking back at it, the biggest fu that you could give somebody, because it's like you're not even going to give me the ability to talk to you about this.
So you rolled out basically what you're saying because you weren't patient enough to wait for the conversation.
Oh yeah, but I think it
Oh,
was also a very unique situation, right? It was very text-based communication, and although the conversations were there occasionally, it was like once a month or whatever. Um, I wanted it more frequently. That wasn't something that that person could provide because of their situation or whatever. Um,
so so
it
love is not enough, and patience is a part of the you know.
fine, fine. You're right, Charles.
I'm
No,
just
I agree. I think everybody makes mistakes. No one's perfect. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, the power of forgiveness is also really extremely important when it comes down to relationships, because
right,
one thing doesn't outweigh the other, right? Like, one thing, yeah, when you make mistakes, one thing isn't going to outweigh the other. You're still, both of y'all are still making mistakes, but do you have the power to forgive the person? Do you have the ability
yeah,
to hear them and say, you know what, this was stupid. You should not have done that.
right,
Let's not do this again. And if the foundation is there, yeah, if you have love and you love the person genuinely, and you can put this ridiculousness aside and say, I know you made a mistake, you're not going to do it again, and this is how we move forward, right? Or let's see how we can move forward from here, and you start rebuilding.
right. I mean that's true, and forgiveness is hard, and forgiveness is tough for men. We are, man,
Stubborn.
stubborn, stubborn. I'm a Taurus, but I've had to.
Ah, that's so funny, Taurus.
Yeah, I've had to learn to forgive. And that's been a huge part of my growth to be able to forgive myself and to forgive others who have egreged against me.
Yeah. Wait, how you said your parents have been together for 57 years?
54 years.
How many times do you think each one of them forgave each other?
Man, look at my mother. She was like, I got to forgive his ass every day.
So that's 54 times 365, y'all.
That's a
That's how
lot.
many times. And it's interesting, right? Like, I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in anything, but I do respect it, and I respect the importance of it for people. Um, and I think one of the things I always remember, and there's a saying, biblical saying, is like you have to forgive people seven, what is it, 70 veces siete, so 70 times seven.
Mm,
And that stuck with me. As my grandmother used to tell me that all the time, because
right,
I had a very interesting relationship with my father growing up, and it was always like me trying to forgive him, me trying, but then I would just shut down and block him out.
right.
And so now, right after she passed away, I try to live with that. Like, you have to forgive people, because if you make mistakes every single day, every single day, we make mistakes, we sin against ourselves every single day.
Yeah.
What makes you think that that person isn't sinning against themselves and against you? And it's not purposeful. It wasn't done on purpose. They just had other things they needed to do.
Right. No, yeah. I totally agree with you that you have to learn how to forgive. You got to figure that out. And that forgiveness is one of the hardest things that we can do in life, right? I got to forgive you.
Mhm.
And whew, it's easy to hold that. It's easy to hold all of that in. Like, I hate you. I hate you. You did this to me. But one of the things we talk about at Camelback Ventures, where I am the director of the education fellowship, where you know, where we basically believe in women and entrepreneurs of color, and we fund them as early stage ventures, is that we talk about 100% responsibility. Like, yeah, you egreged against me, but I still have 100% responsibility in how I react to that. And so oftentimes we love to hold that blame. It's easy. Whoa. It's easy, Rita. It's easy to, I can blame all of that on you. I take no responsibility. Yep. If I'm mad about it, if I'm angry about it, there's a responsibility because I don't have to be. I can be, you broke my heart, Rita. And so I've been mad at you for 18,000 years. But now I take responsibility for it.
But think about that too, right? Like it's being angry with somebody and not forgiving them is like drinking poison and hoping they die.
Rita, who are you?
The modern day guru.
I see that you're just dropping these pearls. Drinking poison and hoping they die. Wow.
That's the weight of anger.
Man,
that's the weight of not forgiving somebody is like, well, I hope you die now because I drank this poison of the anger. And it just, you know how anger is. It's like it starts right here and it starts blowing up. And so you're stuck, right? And you're like, okay. But yeah, so would you drink the poison and let the other person die, Charlie?
I think at this stage of my life, no, I wouldn't drink the poison because the person is not going to die. The person who's dying inside is you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I have had to learn to forgive. I mean, like forgive, like to be in space and to be collegial to people who have, seriously agrees against me. Mm-hmm. And just to be like, all right.
But look, Charles, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on Empowerment and all that. This has been such an awesome episode. I always have a great time when we're on the mic together.
On the mic.
If anybody wants to listen to What's Your Revolution show, I'm going to actually put all the information in the show notes so you can reach Dr. Charles Corprew, ask him some more questions about whether or not love is enough, and listen to his podcast, What's Your Revolution.
Yeah, no doubt. Make sure you check it out everywhere you can. Appreciate the time, Rita. Always love being with you, seeing that smile, and love being one of your good friends. I appreciate that title.
Well, till the next time, you guys. Make sure to keep it positive or don't keep it at all. Hey guys, it's Rita here with Empowerment and All That, thanking you for tuning in to another episode of your favorite podcast for female empowerment. Make sure to rate and subscribe this podcast to make it accessible to everyone else. And remember, keep it positive or don't keep it at all. Till the next time.